What's up, y'all? Welcome to K Connor. I am Connor. This can be a video on my top 10 most anticipated fights for the UFC in the month of November 2025. I don't really know what to title these videos. I don't know if it's like top 10 best, top 10 fights I'm just looking forward to the most. Because that's really what the video is. It's just 10 fights in the UFC that I'm looking forward to the most personally. Not necessarily the top 10 best fights or anything like that. It's just fights I'm fucking hyped for. And this month was quite difficult to do it for. November is a stacked month for the UFC. In particular, the last two cards of the month, the MSG card, which of course the UFC does every year, is extremely stacked. And then the card the week after that in Qatar, I don't know how you pronounce that country. The one headlined by Dan Hooker and Armin Saruki, and that card is also very stacked. The two cards before that, not very stacked at all. In fact, the first card on November 1st, headlined by Steve Garcia and David Onama, doesn't have a single appearance on this list at all. There wasn't a single fight on there that I was like, any of these deserve to be in the top 10. So none of those are on here, unfortunately, because that card is just straight ass. It's terrible. It's a really bad card, but nonetheless, I will watch it from prelims till end because I'm a fucking degenerate. Anyways, guys, before we get into the whole video here, make sure you like the video and then subscribe to the channel as well. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you. Okay, let's get into the whole thing here then, guys. Your first fight, number 10, is going to be Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates, going down on November 15th on the main card, on the MSG card. I guess you're probably asking yourself, why is this fight down so low? It's really just because I'm not the biggest fan of Leon Edwards. I don't think he puts on very exciting fights at all. I mean, every once in a while, you'll get a Kamaru Usman head kick KO out of him, and of course, that kind of stuff is very exciting, but overall, I've watched every Leon Edwards fight in the UFC. I just don't think he's a very exciting fighter. Carlos Prates is a very exciting fighter. My problem is with him is I think this fight could go a lot in the same way that Carlos Prates versus Ian Gary went, in which Carlos Prates kind of froze and just ended up watching Ian Gary for 20-ish minutes until he decided to do something to the last round. Anyways, I mean, don't get me wrong, I am looking forward to this fight. Leon Edwards coming off the loss to Sean Brady from earlier this year back in London, in which he got absolutely dominated in that fight. Before that, of course, he lost his title, the UFC welterweight title, to Bilal Muhammad, who will also be making an appearance on this list later, by the way. Anyways, I just don't know. I don't know what version of Leon is going to show up for this fight. Is Champ Leon going to show up? Is he going to be motivated? I mean, he's fighting a striker now, which is a good sign for him. So let's see. Let's see what Leon could do here. Carlos Prates coming off the big KO win over Jeff Neal, that amazing spinning elbow KO from back in the Chicago card earlier this year, which was incredibly only the second best spinning elbow KO of that night. He's also coming off that loss to Ian Gary from earlier this year. So third fight for Carlos Prates this year. Let's see. Let's see how this fight goes. Maybe it'll surprise me. Maybe I get a cool Carlos Prates KO. I don't know. But I'm not super hyped for this fight, but hyped enough to put it as number 10 on my list. Number 9, Ricky Simon versus Ronnie Barcelos going down on November 8th. This will be on an Apex card. Very much looking forward to this fight. Ricky Simon coming off two big wins from earlier this year, including that incredible knockout win over Javid Basharat, which he fucking absolutely annihilated Basharat earlier this year. And he's been looking good, very good. I'm hoping for a Ricky Simon resurgence here, and I'm hoping that he continues his winning ways. Big Ricky Simon fan. I'm also a big Ronnie Barcelos fan. Ronnie Barcelos coming off the win over Cody Garbrandt from earlier this year. He's also coming off that win over Peyton Talbot as well, in which he kind of took all. I guess he didn't even take Peyton Talbot's hype away, which is kind of crazy. Peyton Talbot kind of came back and beat Felipe Lima, and he's got his hype right back. In fact, Peyton Talbot is getting a higher ranked opponent than Ronnie Barcelos now, if you can believe that. Peyton Talbot's fighting Henry Cejudo, but that's besides the point. Looking for Ronnie Barcelos, or I'll be curious to see if Ronnie Barcelos can continue his winning ways here. Winner of this should get someone in the top 15. If neither of these guys are in the top 15 already, I can't remember the exact bantamweight rankings currently, but I don't know. You got to imagine if if Ronnie Barcelos wins this and Peyton Talbot beats Henry Cejudo, Ronnie Barcelos is going to be like, what the fuck? I just beat this guy less than a year ago, and Peyton Talbot will be ranked in like the top 10, top 8. So I don't know. If I'm Ronnie Barcelos, I just call for a rematch with Peyton Talbot. You beat him once, you could probably do it again. Number 8 is going to be Gabriel Bonfim versus Randy Brown. Also going down on November 8th. This will be the main event of that Apex card. I forget what we were all so mad at Gabriel Bonfim for. Was it a boring fight with Wonderboy? Is that why we're all pissed at him? Or were we just mad at him because he beat Wonderboy? Or no, I think we all thought the decision was bad. So really, we should all be mad at the judges. Anyways, I like this fight. I'm glad they set this one up. Randy Brown's first opportunity here to crack into the top 15, or maybe not his first opportunity, but his opportunity here to crack into the top 15. Like I was saying, Gabriel Bonfim coming off that win over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I think it was a split decision win, and we were all pissed off about that. Let me know in the comments if you remember, because I smoke way too much weed to remember this stuff. Anyways, Gabriel Bonfim looked very good in his UFC thus far. He didn't look great in that Wonderboy fight from my memory, but he did look good in the fight before that, in which he submitted KS Williams, as you can see right here. Randy Brown coming off that brutal knockout win over Nicholas Dalby from earlier this year. Definitely one of the biggest wins in Randy Brown's career. And I'm curious to see if Randy Brown always kind of been one of those guys like, this guy ever going to get into the top 10, top 5 title shot kind of conversations? Because he's very good. He's got the skill set to do so. It's just he's got to bring it out in the cage. And I'll be very curious to see if he could do that. I like that they're getting a main event spot here. This Apex card is much better than the Apex card going down on November 1st, by the way. So if you're planning on skipping one, I would skip the one on November 1st. Watch this one because there's some bangers on the November 8th Apex card. Number 7, going down on November 15th on the MSG card. During the prelims, Roman Kapilov is taking on RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. Very excited for this fight. Awesome matchmaking here by the UFC. Roman Kapilov coming off the loss to Paulo Costa from earlier this year, and she didn't look very good in that fight, but I will just chalk that one up to Paulo Costa being pretty good, a lot better than I thought current day Paulo Costa was. He's also coming off that win over Chris Curtis, in which it was a bit of an early stoppage, but I think he was well on his way to winning that fight anyways. Roman Kopylov, a very entertaining kickboxer, and I'm glad they matched him up with Gregory Rodriguez here, who's coming off that brutal knockout win over Jack Hermanson earlier this year. And crazy enough, Jack Hermanson has a fight scheduled for later this year. It might even be, I think it's on the Qatar card at the end of November. So good luck to him because, man, I can't believe his chin's been able to recover from that. Gregory Rodriguez, like I was saying, coming off the big knockout win over Jack Hermanson. Before that, coming off that loss to Jared Cannonier. Looking forward to seeing which two of these middleweights gets to move forward, gets cracked into the rankings here. Because big things ahead for whoever wins this fight, I believe. Number 6, going down on November 22nd. This will be your co-main event on that Qatar card. Bilal Muhammad versus Ian Machado Gary, that is. Bilal Muhammad, of course, coming off the loss to Jack Della Maddalena, in which he lost his UFC welterweight title in a fantastic fight. I mean, that really was, like, I went back and watched that fight the other day. That fight is up there with one of my fights of the year. It might even be my current front runner for fight of the year right now. Just really excellent stuff from Bilal Muhammad. Of course, before that, he captured the welterweight title from Leon Edwards. Had a long year-off gap in between there. So, good thing Bilal Muhammad is getting another fight in this year. And it's against Ian Gary. He's coming off that big win over Carlos Prates. Of course, before that, he lost that big main event spot to Shavkat Rakhmonov. Ian Gary, been a prospect for a little while now, kind of entering his prime here. I believe he just turned 28 or 27, something like that. So we're kind of just entering into the Ian Gary athletic prime, that is. And let's see. Let's see what we can do. Certainly a gigantic fight for this welterweight division. They kind of got a little welterweight tournament going on here this month with that Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates fight, Bilal Muhammad versus Ian Gary fight, and then, of course, we'll talk about it in a minute here. Michael Morales versus Sean Brady fight. So I think the UFC is kind of just going to wait to see how all these fights play out, who looks the best, who gets the best finish, etc. And then the winners will move on, and they will pick one of those winners to get the next title shot against the winner of Jack Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev. My number 5, speaking of the welterweight division, also going down on November 15th on the main card, Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. Can't wait for this fight. Love this matchup. Very kind of mirror images of each other. Or Michael Morales is kind of like what Sean Brady was in the past. You know, big, athletic grappler who just looks unstoppable at this welterweight division in Michael Morales and is undefeated. That's what Sean Brady was before he ran into Bilal Muhammad. So I'm curious to see how this fight goes. Is Sean Brady going to be able to turn the clock back on Mike Morales like Bilal Muhammad did against him and get Mike Morales out of there, or will Mike Morales continue his winning ways? Sean Brady, of course, coming off that big win, we talked about it earlier, over Leon Edwards back in London, which he submitted him. Before that, had 2 wins before then, one against Kelvin Gastelum, and I'm blanking on the other one, but doesn't matter. On a 3-fight win streak for Sean Brady here, looking to move forward in the division. Certainly, I think besides Shavkat Rakhmonov, Sean Brady is my front runner right now to be the next UFC welterweight champion. After, of course, we see how Islam Makhachev versus JDM plays out. Michael Morales coming off the big win over Gilbert Burns, in which he just absolutely destroyed him. I think the big question here with Michael Morales is can he do this to a young guy in his prime? You know, he's done it to Neil Magny, he's done it to Gilbert Burns, 2 guys that are past their prime. I mean, Neil Magny's actually looked pretty good as of late, but and of course, a win over Neil Magny is a win over Neil Magny. I mean, you need one if you're gonna get into the top 10 of the UFC welterweight division. Gilbert Burns seems pretty washed at this moment in time, sadly. So I'm not giving Mike Morales too much stock in that win, but nonetheless, a win over Gilbert Burns. Same thing with Neil Magny, is a win over Gilbert Burns, and that's very impressive in its own right. So I'll be very curious to see if Mike Morales can continue his winning ways here against Sean Brady. And I'm just very hyped for this fight. I think it's 2 grapplers. I think it might end up being one of those situations where the grappling cancels each other out and we get a stand-up war, in which I'm kind of leaning Mike Morales in that. You know, I think Mike Morales might be a bit of a better striker, certainly has more power in his hands than Sean Brady. So can't wait for that fight on the main card on the MSG pay-per-view later this month. Number 4, Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint Denis, going down on November 15th on the prelims for the MSG card. Shocked they put that one on the prelims, but you know the UFC loves Bo Nichols, so they're going to put him on that main card. I think it was a mistake, but whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Now I get to watch this fight for free, and I can't fucking wait for this fight. You know damn well I'm putting ranked lightweights on the top 5 of this list. Beneil Dariush coming off that big win over Renato Moicano after a long layoff before that. And you got to feel good for Beneil getting another one in there, getting another big win in there, and still looking like he can do it. Of course, Beneil Dariush, longtime UFC vet at this point, been around, fought them all, beat a lot of them. Was for a long time was that guy where we were all like, Beneil Dariush versus Islam Makhachev would be a sick fight. Beneil Dariush might be able to give Islam Makhachev a run for his money. He never ended up getting there, but I still think Beneil Dariush is very good and probably a top 5 lightweight in the world still. Benoit Saint Denis coming off that big win over Mauricio Ruffy from earlier this year back at that Paris card. Quick turnaround for him. Very curious to see how this fight ends up playing out. Again, it might be one of those fights where the grappling kind of just cancels each other out and we get a stand-up war. And what a war it will be if these two are just kickboxing for 15 straight minutes. So can't wait for this fight. Very much looking forward to it. I'm kind of leaning with BSD, but we'll see how this plays out. I'm still not entirely sold that BSD is that good, but we'll see. If he can get past Benny Dariush, then I'll be a believer in BSD. My number 3, Valentina Shevchenko versus Weili Zhang, going down on November 15th. Of course, is the co-main event on the MSG card. Hyped for this fight. I mean, this is the most hyped I've been for a women's title fight in a very long time. You're probably asking why it's only number 3 on my list. You'll see in a second. But anyways, Valentina Shevchenko, coming off that win over Manon Fiorot from earlier this year, has looked very good since recapturing the title. I suppose she's only had 1 fight since recapturing the title, but nonetheless, we got past the whole Alexa Grasso trilogy of fights, and we're moving on with Valentina Shevchenko now. Of course, Valentina Shevchenko might be the best women's MMA fighter of all time, certainly in the top 3. I mean, it's really Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg, and Valentina Shevchenko, if you ask me. And Shevchenko, I mean, dude, if she gets past Weili Zhang, she's, I mean, how can you not call her number 1, the best women's fighter of all time, you know? Granted, with the size advantage and all that, and she never captured UFC women's bantamweight gold, even though she tried a couple times, but still, man, she's just so fucking good. She's just been doing this for so long now. I mean, if you add up all her title defenses, I think she has like 7 or 8 or something like that, and I mean, God, I think we all remember this brutal knockout over Jessica Ai. Valentina Shevchenko, one of the best women fighter of all time, going up against another one of the best women's fighters of all time in Weili Zhang, coming off that big win over Tatiana Suarez from back in February this year, and has looked again, like I was saying, Shevchenko has looked unbeatable since she recaptured gold at this UFC strawweight division. First time fighting at flyweight, I believe, in her career, unless she did that outside of the UFC at some point. Anyways, Weili Zhang, you know her, you love her. Very exciting fighter. Just so hyped for this fight. A super fight. It really is. Like this to me is more of a super fight than Islam versus JDM even is, you know? Just considering that JDM just won his title and doesn't have a single title defense. This fight is truly like both these women have pretty much cleared out their divisions and deserve this super fight. I wish they let Weili keep the belt for this. It would just be nice to have a champ versus champ thing on it. Just give it a little bit more juice, a little bit more hype. But nonetheless, I'm still very excited for this fight. Don't know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna have to really think about it and go back and watch some tape before I make a prediction on this one. But still, nonetheless, your co-main event on the MSG pay-per-view. Very excited for it. My number 2 most excited fight for the month of November, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker, going down on November 22nd. This will be the main event in the UFC Qatar card. UFC debut in that area, in that country. Very excited for this fight. You know damn well I'm putting lightweight ranked fighters really high on my list because lightweight is just the best division in the UFC, bar none. Arman Tsarukyan, coming off the win over Charles Oliveira, was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev earlier this year for the UFC lightweight title. That unfortunately did not end up happening. Arman hurt his back or whatever, and I actually do agree with the UFC's decision to make Arman have to fight again before he gets a title shot. I think he kind of needs to earn it once again, unfortunately for Arman, even though I do think he is the second best lightweight in the world currently, excluding Islam Makhachev. But anyways, I think he kind of needed to earn it again just because of the pullout. The pullout was very strange. The day of the fight or the day before, whatever, hurt his back, and I don't know. I don't really know who to believe in this situation. In UFC, saying the doctors are saying he's fine, he's saying he's hurt. So I tend to lead with I tend to go with the fighters when they say they're hurt. They're hurt on these type of things, but it was a very odd, disappointing situation going on there. But anyways, very excited for this fight. Arman Tsarukyan, been around the UFC for a little while now. Seemingly is the second best lightweight in the division. And we'll see what he's able to do here. Of course, he's coming off the win over Charles Oliveira, and before that, that big knockout win over Benny Dariush. So let's see. Very hyped to see how this one is actually going to play out because Dan Hooker is making his comeback, and Dan Hooker is one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. Dan Hooker's coming off the win over Mateus Gamrot from way back last year. It's been a rocky road for Hooker as of late. He's looked very good in his past couple fights. He just unfortunately keeps getting injured, and then he needs like over a year layoff. He had that big win over Jalen Turner, and then he needed a year layoff before he fought Mateus Gamrot, and then now he needs another year layoff before he fights Arman Tsarukyan. So he's not really able to get much going here. But I imagine the winner of this fight is gonna get a title shot. Is gonna be fighting Ilia Topuria at some point. Probably the winner of Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. It seems like we're heading in that direction. And I'll be very hyped to see that. Hooker's takedown defense has looked very good as of late, or at least it looked very good in the Mateus Gamrot fight. And that's going to be a problem for Arman Tsarukyan if his takedown defense is able to hold up against Tsarukyan. And that's where the fight will get very exciting. So very hyped for this fight. Very excited to see the outcome of it. And that is why it's my number 2. My number 1, of course, is going to be Sergey Spavak versus Shamil Gaziev going down on November 22nd. The return of our king, Shamil Gaziev. The champ returns. The king returns. I'm just fucking with you. My number 1, of course, is Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev going down on November 15th, the main event of the MSG card. What else could it be? What more do you want out of a fight? Jack Della Maddalena coming off the big win over Bilal Muhammad, in which he captured UFC welterweight gold. Islam Makhachev moving up for the first time in his career to the welterweight division. So hyped for this fight. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. I'm so curious to see how this fight is going to go. Islam Makhachev, longtime reigning lightweight champ, one of the best fighters in the world, probably the number 1 pound-per-pound fighter in the world right now. Jack Della Maddalena looked so good against Bilal Muhammad with such improved takedown defense and made it a fucking war, and I'll be so curious to see if he could do something similar to Islam Makhachev here. Islam Makhachev, of course, coming off the win over Nathan Moicano, which we were already talking about. It was supposed to be Arman Tsarukyan. Yeah, I am fucking amped for this fight. I'm so happy the UFC put this fight together. But we'll see. We'll see how this one's going to end up going here. I'm kind of leaning towards Islam the closer we get. I think his wrestling's just gonna be a bit too much, but I am hopeful that this fight is gonna end up being a war. And yeah, just can't wait for it. The last pay per view of the year, second to last pay per view, possibly ever, before the UFC switches over to the Paramount era. And I'll be very excited to see all this. That's gonna do it for the video, then, guys. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, do all that good shit, like the video. Appreciate it so much. See you in the next one. Bye.